to welcome you today at the European Youth Adaptation Forum. Today is a day to celebrate. It's a day to celebrate your energy, your passion, your commitment, because we are here at the United Nations Climate Change Conference because we believe that a transformation is needed and that we need to accelerate action. Today we have a very exciting agenda. First of all, I would like to welcome delegates from governments. Who is here representing governments? Please raise your hand. Who is here from the civil society organizations? Who is here under 30 years old? Who is here from Latin America and the Caribbean? North America? And raise higher your hand just to see. Who is here from Europe? Good. And Africa? Good. Asia? Who is here from the Pacific? Do we have anyone from the Pacific? We are missing here the Pacific. Today, we are at the European Youth Adaptation Forum because the Global Center on Adaptation is an international organization that was established as a solution broker to mobilize adaptation solutions. For the Global Center on Adaptation, youth play a fundamental role to move the adaptation agenda forward. And why? Not only because youth represent a very significant number of the population, but especially because youth are agents of change. You can create linkages and also platforms for dialogue, intergenerational dialogue. You can help your communities to develop skills and knowledge to become more climate resilient. And today we are here to discuss the inputs and views of young people about the global goal on adaptation. First, let me welcome the extraordinary speakers that we have and join me with a big applause for all of them because they are change makers from all over the world. And also to all the partner organizations that have made this Youth Adaptation Forum in Europe possible, especially the Foundation of Environmental Education, PeaceBoat, the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges, the Center of Environmental Education, GermanWatch, Climate, Yongo, ECOS, the COP27 presidency, the COP26 presidency, IAAS, and many other partners. And also a special thanks to all the governments that are partners in this journey: Ghana, Bangladesh, Italy, Austria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and all the speakers. What do we have today? The Youth Adaptation Forum is a series of events that the Global Center is organizing. The first one took place in Africa, and Desmond, please go ahead, was the organizer. It took place in Senegal. Just stand up. He was the host. We have the second Youth Adaptation Forum that took place in the Pacific, and the third one was in Asia, hosted by ICCCAD. And also we have some colleagues here from ICCCAD. Sakit, please, go. He was one of the hosts. This one is the European Youth Adaptation Forum, and we have two more. One that is the North America Youth Adaptation Forum, taking place on the 15th of July as part of the High-Level Political Forum, and the Latin American Youth Adaptation Forum on the 12th of August in Costa Rica. Is anyone, Ivan, are you here from Costa Rica? The Ministry of Environment of Costa Rica is hosting this event. All these inputs will be brought together to a Youth Adaptation Summit taking place on the 3rd and 4th of September, and the outcomes will be presented at COP27, the COP of Adaptation and the COP of Implementation. We are discussing about here the negotiations on action on climate empowerment related to education, training, public awareness, public access to information, and public participation, but also the discussion about the global goal on adaptation. And the most important is how we can create these interlinkages and how we can accelerate solutions. The agenda will be divided in 3 parts. First, we will have some opening remarks. Second, we are going to have an intergenerational dialogue with decision makers and youth about the inputs on the global goal on adaptation. After that, we are going to move with the showcasing youth-led adaptation solutions from different organizations here in Europe. And after that, you will have an invitation to think how a climate-resilient Europe post-2020 will look like, and what are these 5 key enabling actions to promote this transformation. Then I would like to start welcoming one of our partners in this journey, and especially also one of the global leaders leading this agenda. His name is, and he doesn't need a presentation, is Saleemul. He's the director of ICCCAD in Bangladesh. Saleem, that is near to me, he had been one of the negotiators that started the climate change negotiations at the beginning. He is one of the special advisors of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, of the Global Center on Adaptation, also author of many of the IPCC reports, and he had been leading different initiatives at the local, national, and international level. Saleem, thank you very much for joining us today. It's an honor that you are sharing your perspective. And here we are discussing about the global goal on adaptation. But what is happening here in Bonn? Mm-hmm. What is the global goal on adaptation, and how youth can support this process, please?
Great. Thank you very much, Adriana, and good afternoon to everybody. So let me start by giving you a little bit of a history of the Global Goal on Adaptation, how it came about, what is it, and what are we hoping to achieve now. So the history of this was very much associated with the Paris negotiations for the Paris Agreement in COP21 in 2015 in Paris, where we had very strong activities on the global goal on mitigation, and particularly the vulnerable countries. The Climate Vulnerable Forum at that time, led by the Philippines, President Aquino of the Philippines, pushed for and successfully got the 1.5 degree goal in the Paris Agreement. That was a tremendous achievement for the vulnerable countries, because many other countries had not wanted to change it from 2 degrees to 1.5 degrees, because that would be much more difficult. But nevertheless, we were able to achieve that. But at the same time, some of the vulnerable countries, particularly the African group of countries, felt that there should be an equivalent adaptation goal as well. And they pushed for, and they got in Article 7, an agreement to develop an global goal on adaptation. We didn't succeed in agreeing on what it was in Paris. The reason was that, unlike mitigation, where a temperature goal of 1.5 degrees brings together everything, all the greenhouse gases, everything needs to all work towards that one goal. Adaptation is just too difficult. It's very location specific. How do you aggregate at the global level? There are many different ways to adapt, many different metrics to look at adaptation. So what we agreed was, we will have a goal, but we will take some time to develop that goal. And then nothing much happened for a while, until in Glasgow in COP26, this issue was taken up again. And we do have a decision in Glasgow for the setting up of the Glasgow Sharm el-Sheikh work program to develop the global goal on adaptation, and we've started that discussion here in Bonn. We will have a number of such workshops going forward. It's still complicated. Different groups have different ideas on what it should look like. But what I'm going to suggest here, in the context of the Youth Adaptation Network, of which this is the European network meeting, is that the youth should not wait for the negotiators to tell you what the global goal on adaptation should be, but rather you should be telling us, the senior people, what you think the global goal on adaptation should be. And I'll suggest a way of planning that process and influencing the negotiations and participating in them going forward. So there are 3 or 4 things that you need to think about. Firstly, and these are all issues that you will need to have discussions of your own amongst the youth groups from the different regions of the world, set up your own networks, do online discussions. The first one is, what do you think a youth global goal should look like? You can have different ideas, come together with possible solutions, maybe more than one if you think that one is not enough. But more importantly than just setting a goal, you also need to think about who is going to implement that goal. And so I'll give you a little bit of my take on what the global goal on adaptation is likely to evolve into. In my view, we cannot agree on a single goal. It's just too complicated. We will end up with a multiplicity of goals. And the multiplicity of goals will have different constituencies. For example, my center in Bangladesh, we work on locally led adaptation. We are very strongly proposing a goal on locally led adaptation as opposed to a top-down adaptation. Local adaptation for vulnerable communities all over the world, in developed countries and developing countries, but locally determined goals that people can set themselves, implement themselves, measure themselves, and monitor and evaluate themselves. So that's one constituency. People working at the local level, I call them local adapters. I used to call them the most vulnerable communities, but now that climate change is happening, they are actually adapting. And so they have become the first adapters or the local adapters. And that's a constituency I've been working with for a long time, my colleagues. And so we are working on a locally led adaptation global goal. I'm suggesting a similar process for youth, particularly youth working on adaptation in your own countries, your own constituencies, or wherever you happen to be, to start thinking together about what a youth global goal would look like, and not just what it would look like, but how would it be implemented. And I would suggest that even more important than having a goal is getting involved in implementing that goal. So it's your goal. You need to be the ones who are implementing it. Don't push it on to somebody else to do, something you want to do. So you need to think about what is it that we can do, that we can set a goal for ourselves, and then we become the implementers of that goal, the activities. And then we also, and we can have specialized groups within the youth community who measure, monitor progress over time, who do evaluations over time on where are we going, how much progress are we making. It needs to be disaggregated to different country levels and local levels as well. But you have youth everywhere, so youth can be involved in this. I feel personally that young people have a very, very great opportunity to be proactive. Don't just listen to the discussions and think, what's in it for us? Be part of that discussion and tell them what you think should be part of that global goal, and insist on a youth global goal, and then work together to develop it, implement it, monitor it, evaluate it, and hopefully make it happen. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saleem. And it's a question for all of you to think how this goal will be, who can implement it, how you can monitor, how your organization, each one can contribute. We don't need, the key message here is that we don't need to wait. We need to accelerate implementation, and every one of you, independent of country, organization, can contribute to this global goal. And we have also another champion here. She is not only one of the lead negotiators of the Agenda on Action for Climate Empowerment that is related to Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. Article 6 of the Convention is about education, training, and public awareness, how to make these spaces more participatory, how people can access information. She's Roberta Iana. She's a senior advisor at the Ministry of Environment in Italy, one of also the co-chairs of the Capacity Building Committee, and also one of the champions moving this agenda forward. We started working with Roberta, and we decided to organize a regional workshop on action for climate empowerment in Italy, and from there also many other developments. Then everyone can contribute with something, and you can see how the transformation is done. Then Roberta, you also last year organized the pre-COP in Milan. It was a partnership between the UK and Italy, and in the framework you organized the Youth for Climate, a global mobilization of youth. Then I have a question from you, from your experience. How do you think governments can help young people to participate in these processes? And what are these lessons learned from the initiative that the Italian government took last year? Over to you, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Adriana. First of all, let me thank you for the invitation. I'm very grateful to be here with this very high-level panel. Always a pleasure to see Professor Saleemul. So I'm really honored to be here, and it cannot be like more timely, this kind of event and forum of today, talking about adaptation and youth participation. Well, adaptation and implementation are now the priorities. We are going to have COP27, which will be an adaptation-focused COP, and a lot focusing also on implementation. And as Adriana said, as the government of Italy, we hosted the pre-COP last year, and because of the increasing participation and will to participate of young people, we organized this Youth for Climate initiative event, which was supposed to be a standing alone event, and then it was so participated, so successful that the minister decided to make it a continuative initiative. So now we are dying to organize to organize it for its continuation. And so in our experience, it has been a very important moment to work together with young people. The process started at the beginning of last year and basically ended at the Youth for Climate initiative in Milan with the compilation of this Youth for Climate manifesto, which is addressing many pressing topics of the climate change and sustainable development agenda. One of those is adaptation. And now the idea is to continue working together to implement this idea. So this year we will have another event which will be to present, mainly to present the way forward. And a web platform is being set up. Now there is only the landing page. I can also then send you the link to the landing page and to a narrative brochure that we have on the initiative. And the idea would be really like to link all the initiative. As Professor Hook said, it's time for young people to have their voice listened, and this is what we are willing to enhance, to bridge from the government level conferences to the young voices, for them to be listened to and having their instances implemented in the international agenda. So thank you again very much.
Thank you, Roberta. I'm really looking forward to continue working with you, to partnering with Italy, and also to bring this message to many governments, to open spaces for youth participation. Now let's move to also listen a bit about the youth perspective. We have here two young leaders. One of them is Emily Vernall. She is one of the youth that has been selected as part of the Youth Advisory Panel to the Global Center on Adaptation, 12 young leaders from all over the world. And Emily is working in different issues, but especially advocating for women and also gender equality. Then, Emily, from your experience, what are these gaps and needs that youth have to participate and engage in this agenda?
Thank you, Adriana. And it's a pleasure to be here today and to represent the Global Centre on Adaptation's first Youth Advisory Panel this year. So as Adriana said, we're 12 young people across 6 continents, and we bring together and amplify the voices of youth across all of these regions relating to youth participation and empowerment on climate adaptation. And as a network, we are united by the need for an urgent step change and towards a more inclusive and transformative framework for adaptation action. So as we've kind of already highlighted, today is the European Youth Forum, but I think it's really important to emphasize that this is just one in our series of consultations on intergenerational dialogues. And we've already had our Africa consultation in Senegal, we've had our Pacific Forum, which was held in April, and our Asian Forum really recently at the end of May. And I think these forums, above anything else, represent that there is already a vibrant global movement of youth who are already leading the way on local and community adaptation action, and they now want to have their voice heard in agenda-setting spaces such as these SBs, such as at the World Water Forum in Senegal. And that's what we're trying to do in hosting these dialogues, is to bring different people together and ensure that these amazing conversations we're having with leaders on the ground are coming to spaces where they can be influencing the decisions we're having. So I think our engagements and our forums have shown that young people can be the human face of climate action and adaptation. And this is a humanity that's sometimes lost within the technical papers and the frameworks that we are negotiating, yet they are the driving force behind why we're all here. So young people can bring the energy and the solutions and the innovation, and they're showing this by already leading on the ground because they recognize we cannot wait or delay whilst we're waiting for official mechanisms. So I think on the board, I'm not sure if we're able to show it. Okay, we can't, but they're on our website, and hopefully you'll be able to take a look. We've created visual summaries of the key outputs from each of our forums so far. And as Saleem mentioned, these kind of show the conversations we've been having as young people are trying to shape what this youth sub-goal could look like. And they've identified both the priorities for youth on adaptation and also the key challenges. So we've taken into account these questions about what should adaptation look like, who should be leading it, and the conclusion that has emerged is we do need to collectively develop and shape a sub-goal on youth participation in adaptation policy that will be part of the global goal on adaptation. Youth want to be involved in the decision-making and implementation at the national level, so through national adaptation plans, but they also want to be driving this on the ground, but they need to have the resources and the finance to be able to do this effectively. So I think the youth goal is about ambitious action, but it's also ensuring that it's a transformational action, not just incremental change, which is sometimes an issue that can be faced when implementing adaptation. Through our consultations, we have picked up on a few key barriers for young people who are trying to implement and take ownership of adaptation action. A key one has been accessing to finance for adaptation and youth-led projects, which that can sometimes be a barrier, lots of difficulties and criteria to be met. And also the need for more adaptation education and capacity building, as these debates about adaptation show that not everyone is fully aware on what it is still and what needs to be done. And I think this could be mainstreamed through schools, through community groups. And we also recognise that youth is not a homogenous group and that we need to take this into account. So as Adriana noted, I've been doing some work with the UNFPA's Joint Youth Working Group, and we look at the intersections of sexual reproductive health rights and how this intersects and underpins key areas to do with climate adaptation and resilience. And it sees different perspectives that we want to incorporate into the youth sub-goal, but they're going to be missed if women and girls don't have access to these decision-making spaces. So we just wanted to highlight that we think accessibility and climate justice are core principles for the youth sub-goal. For instance, even getting accreditation to attend today and to put on this side event was a challenge for us in and of ourselves, and we're really grateful to a lot of the partners who helped our panel to get badges to come here today to even allow us to have our message and our voices heard. So just to summarise, I think our key message is that young people do want to establish and co-shape this youth sub-goal, and we urgently need a roadmap towards a global goal on adaptation that works for the whole of society, and that includes youth. And in order to reach this, youth need the capacity building and the finance in order to really take the ownership and drive the action that they really want to see on the ground. Thank you.
One of the recommendations to promote youth participation has been how youth can be part of the official delegations. And we have here Dennis Jansen. He is the UN representative from the Netherlands, who is part of the official delegation, but also is representing YOUNGO, the constituency of children and youth under the United Nations Climate Change Convention. Then, Dennis, from your perspective and also working with YOUNGO, what youth need to really participate and move this adaptation agenda forward?
Yes, thank you. As you already addressed, and probably you've heard in many of the sessions already, there's lots of gaps in this global goal on adaptation, whether it be financial or in capacity building or something like that. But one of the gaps is then indeed this lack of youth involved in talking about this. And you've made some really great points already about what youth desire. YOUNGO already, in a different session, also made this point about the sub-goal on youth, and I think that's really important. And another way to include youth, indeed, is I don't want to be like, look at me, but is as the example that at least the Netherlands has set, and I know there's some other countries, but way too little, by bringing youth representatives in their delegation. And really amazing things can happen, I think, when this is being done. To give you an example on what happens when you bring youth in your delegation, last year, because of the progressive attitudes, I would say, by the Italian government, also at COP, which I really applaud, we were able to make sure that in the cover decisions of the COP, there was mentioning of COP, of our youth, more times than ever. So I think that's an example of how we can work together with governments, as long as we are included. So what we need is this inclusion. We need this access. We need maybe some finance. I mean, we are happy to do almost everything for free, but maybe we shouldn't do almost everything for free. And just in general, having the access to the delegation, to the meetings, to the people, the heads of delegation. Everyone is, at least in my delegation, I think we really benefit from this relationship of mutual trust also, because sometimes maybe it's also dealing with confidential stuff, but they've given us the trust that we can deal with that in a very mature and adult-like way. And I think we've proven to them that when you have this relationship of trust and you can work together, youth representatives also working with YOUNGO can really do some really great stuff. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Then it is an invitation to governments to also invite young people as part of the official delegations. And also what we need to advance the adaptation agenda forward. We need partnership. We need intersectorial collaboration and also multi-level collaboration. And the civil society organizations play a fundamental role. And I also delighted to welcome one of the key partners, Miro Poltzer, who is the CEO of the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges. And he had been not only leading solutions in Austria, but also he had been one of the key persons to establish ECOS, a platform that brings together civil society organization and different institutions working on education, training, and public awareness. Then first of all, thank you, Miro, for making this event possible. And also thank you for your leadership moving this agenda forward. The question for you will be, how do you think civil society organizations can contribute, and what are the gaps and what is needed?
Yeah, so thank you very much, Adriana. It's such a pleasure to be here today with all of you. And Adriana is really an excellent leader. On a Saturday at this time, having such a full room is really amazing. Bravo, shout out to Adriana. And as regards how can we engage people, it's really essential that we have all of society engagement in these efforts to tackle the climate crisis. There is no doubt youth is extraordinarily important, and congratulations really to Italy, Roberta, and your team for this All for Climate Youth event last year, and also thanks to the Austrian government, Dalia Wöger-Bauer here with us for investing in this ACE Innovation, Action for Climate Empowerment Innovation Project, ACE-AT, where we are looking at how can we rethink and reorganize the UN processes with regards to non-state actors' engagement. So it's no question that this is needed, but then it's the question of the how. And here my organization, IAAI, International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges, has developed certain solutions in the field of culture, using advanced technology, blockchain technology, and also organizational innovation. So the cultural innovation is, we've worked with Adriana already 2015 for COP21 on the Global Challenges Youth Music Contest. We've asked young people to produce music video clips about their visions of what should be accomplished at the COP. And this is the language that bridges the negotiators and the ordinary people on the street and the young people. Young people feel confident to produce music and to communicate in this way. This is one way. We need to find the right communication channels. And then in terms of technology, it was also said by Emily, but also by Dennis, that there's a need to provide resources to young people, tools, but really also financial resources. And here we are also working on resource mobilization, mechanisms for youth climate action empowerment. Digital Art for Climate is our lead initiative in this field. We have made an art competition for COP26. Now we have a collection of 30 artworks, which we have turned into non-fungible tokens, NFTs, digital assets, which we have yesterday started on a digital marketplace to sell. And with the funding, we will support youth climate action. And in terms of and this was developed with the help of the ACE-AT project. And the organizational innovation that we have is today was a press conference where we presented United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment as a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. So it's a virtual organization where resource mobilization, where people can contribute, collaboratively decide about the use of financial resources that come from projects like Digital Art for Climate, from philanthropy, from corporate social responsibility programs, or even from local communities or anybody else who wants to invest in youth climate action. And so there are some of the solutions that we are working on. You will certainly hear of our partnership with GCA in the future. We are planning to be together at the COP27 with joint programs and considering also a Digital Art for Climate Adaptation Award, which will be, the call will be launched on the 12th of August. And yeah, so climate change changes everything. And so adaptation is so important. It's really, the adaptation agenda in the UNFCCC process needs youth, but also young people need really to be more aware that climate change and adaptation to these changes will define the quality of life, the future of every one of us. So it's so important to have events like today where we build the bridge between UNFCCC process and the young people.
Thank you, Miro. Then I will invite each one of you in one word. What will you, now we will have a big basket to put together for this global goal on adaptation. Then in one word, then the question will be, what will you add to this big basket to be this global effort to mobilize adaptation solutions? Then let's start, please, Dennis.
No pressure, right? Inclusivity.
Excellent. Emily.
Very glad you didn't steal my word there. Accessibility.
I'd put participation.
Partnerships.
Innovation.
Well, it's collaboration, which is basically a synonym of what has been just said, but most important thing. Thank you.
Excellent. Then now we will move to the second panel. I would like to invite all the speakers just to stand up to take a photo, and also invite the next round of speakers to join us. I think that may be that.
Okay, Roberta, you go.
Maybe, I don't know, Ife, maybe over there? Yeah. Sorry? No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I have the honor to welcome the second panel. Thank you very much to all our speakers, and now I have the honor to welcome the second panel that is about just implementing adaptation solutions. And this panel is extraordinary. We have not only change makers, but also people that are inspiring and mobilizing adaptation solutions. I would like that in this opportunity to call all the panelists to please join me here. And here. And here we have one. Stefan, maybe you sit down here. And I would like to welcome our special guest, Her Highness Princess Avdigma, who is not only a change maker, she has been advocating for the climate change agenda, youth empowerment, women's solutions, but also an extraordinary friend. Then please, Princess, join us today here. The second panel is about concrete initiatives related to youth adaptation solutions. Then I want to start also to express my gratitude. Now there are negotiations about action for climate empowerment. Governments are in the different rooms discussing what can be part of this action plan on action for climate empowerment. And the questions that I have for all of you is to share with us what concrete experiences are you implementing. And thank you very much, Princess, to be with us today. You have been leading solutions at the global level, but also at the grassroots level in Burkina Faso, in Africa, and many countries. This year, the COP in Africa, the COP of implementation, and the COP of action. Then from your perspective and your experience, what is happening in Burkina Faso and in Africa, and how we can accelerate this agenda? Princess.
First of all, thank you for your warm welcoming, and I wish to apologize for arriving late because we were still drafting the Action for Climate Empowerment. So that's for that reason. I apologize for arriving late. And I heard, I wish to congratulate as well the previous panel. I heard what they were saying at the end was really fantastic. And this, collaboration matters, as you said. It was fantastic to see that you asked to each of the panelists what was the importance for them. Leadership matters, policy matters, but the most important that is matters is just take your seat. Don't wait to be seated. Mm-hmm. That's my way of doing, and that's what's bringing me here. And believe and listening at your grassroots, where you are coming from, build on existing, build on your values. You do have capabilities. You are scientists. You have different ways of being smart. Then where comes different way of technologies? Sometimes we may call it low tech. Tech is tech. When you're an engineer, it's one language. How do you put the things together? It's not, you don't have thousand ways of doing, and give the space also to fail, to make mistakes. The mistakes are the plus and the minus, is what I call experience. We need to allow ourselves to fail. And if people laugh at us, it's their problem, it's not our problem. They may say that you are talking, and doing so. I started my own program with the Mamalet Initiative for Sustainable Energy. As an engineer, I started to design a solar lantern coming from my needs, because I'm a highness from the countryside who went to school barefoot, running on the bush where you hear the lions and so on. That was my reality. And I'm not saying that to have pity, no, I'm very proud of that. That I have the luck to run, to go to school further, said 7 kilometers. It's a luck that I could read and write and be able to communicate with you and to exchange with you and to learn from you. It's not always bilateral, it's not just one way. All the ways counts. And that's why the youth, I always said, what I'm implementing is what I have since I was 14 years old in my head. Then I still stuck at 14, even if it's 50 plus now. But believe on your dreams. Never let people take your dreams away. Maybe in the conversation here they will say that it's philosophic. No. Dreaming is important. Somebody dreamed that he wants to fly. That's what we have airplanes today. Somebody dreams that he wants to hear his mom somewhere. And all the technologies comes from love. When you put the happiness in the center of what you're doing, I was hearing my brother here for talking about his project on blockchain. And we're grateful that he's coming and stepping in with new technology. It's fantastic. It's good to have, to embrace what you have and to go beyond. We have quantumers coming in. Fantastic. Let's connect the dots. Let's look at each other as equal partners who has knowledge, and in the negotiation room that we are equal. Really, and I mean it, I repeat again, we are equal. Because when we talk about the global south or the global north, okay, when I see from the satellite that the globe is round, it depends where you are looking at it. From left or right, who's the north or the south? Or the west, it's the little ball on the water. So that is, those are the things. Let's win the heart. And my dear Adriana, of course, wherever you will call me, I will always stand ready. She won my heart. Of course, I'm tired. I didn't eat. I'm thirsty. But the youth matters. The next generation matters. If my ancestor, Princess Yeneng, in the 12th centuries ago, didn't fight it, make her coalition of warriors and be a commander-in-chief, I wouldn't be sitting here and defending and saying that I'm Burkinabe. Mm-hmm. So then I'm sharing my personal experience to tell you that everything is possible. The limit is only ourselves. Everything is possible. Even if your government don't allow you, just speak up. If you can get the badge, get it and speak up. Why? Do you think that they will put you in prison because you want to do good? No. The only limit is yourself. Then speak up. That's what I did. That's what I encourage the youth. It's about youth. Sorry, I took too much long, but it's just the youth. Just take you are already leading. You are already leading. And because I was too tired, otherwise I would have bring one, as I used to do, is to give my time slot of speaking always to a young person to speak at my time slot. That's what we need to do. Even if we speak as a keynote speaker, we need to give them the space to say. And they have a lot. As I used to say, my daughter is the best version of myself. You are the best version of ourselves, and we count on you. We believe on you. Thank you very much. I will stop there, and I hope that sorry.
Thank you very much. And let me tell you the insight. When I was working as the UNFCCC focal point, I was organizing the Education Day. And I have the privilege to meet there in Katowice, the princess. And she said, yes, we need to move this adaptation, this education agenda forward. And was through her leadership and many other partners that parties agree in Katowice a decision that says that action for climate empowerment needs to be included as part of the national determinate contribution, as part of the national adaptation plan, as part of any climate change policy. Then we have together, many of you have been part of moving the action for climate agenda forward. Now what we need is also to bring these elements, to bring public participation, education, public awareness as part of the adaptation agenda. Then thank you very much for your leadership or for your commitment to be here with us. As you said, it's an intergenerational dialogue. It's about people. It's about people with dreams. It's about people with passion. And it's about people that can walk the way to make this dream possible. Then please join me again with a big applause. And if we have one of the volunteers, any of you that can bring maybe a bit of water for the speakers, it will be fantastic. We have some water over there, then it will be really, really appreciated. And we have also other change makers. We have different countries. Here we have, it is the European Youth Forum, and we want to know what is happening, what different youth organizations and NGOs are doing. And we have the Foundation of Environmental Education, one of the key partners of the Global Center on Adaptation. And Christina Madsen is here with me, also a lone friend. And FEE is the largest organization with members in over 70 countries and with multiple programs, including eco schools. The key question, Christina, is what is the role of schools in really implementing adaptation solutions at the local level? Welcome.
Thank you so much, Adriana. So it's a big question. I mean, education plays a key role in this. Or I'd rather say that education has the potential to play a key role, because for education to really fulfill its potential in terms of equipping generations of youth really to lead adaptation solutions, I think we have to ensure three things. The first thing is capacity building of teachers and educators. Many educators, they need training to understand the concept of adaptation in their local context and to be able to be confident to teach about it. We're seeing that climate change mitigation, it was mentioned earlier, is a concept that's fairly well understood now, but that adaptation still needs more focus, more emphasis. And there could be several reasons for this, but one is that, and that was also mentioned, that the goal of mitigation is of reducing our emissions is fairly clear, but the concrete goals of adaptations, they still need to be defined. Ooh, nice.
Here we are part of the family. You know, when you are in family here, it is just not a formal conversation. Here what we have is just a family, and in family is where we discuss the topics, and when you agree in what needs to be done, then please, let's continue.
That's fine. I also want to highlight that maybe it can, for some educators, be a little bit hard to actually embrace the concept of adaptation, because it might create a feeling of giving up, of actually surrendering to these impacts of climate change. So I really think we need training of educators, it's a must, and particularly in places that are vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. And it needs to be a collaborative effort, so we need the more resourceful nations to support this process. My second point is in terms of how to teach this concept of adaptation. Many educational institutions are still, while they need to move away from this one-directional lecture style of teaching where you need to memorize a bunch of information, and not only teach about climate change, all the science about it, behind it, but really for climate action. And because, youth leadership, the skills that you need to be a leader, those can't be taught in one day. Those needs years to be established. So we really need students to engage with climate issues that are happening in their own communities, and that they are able to research, reflect on, and discuss the different adaptation solutions in a constructive way, and so they're able also to avoid maladaptation. And to do this, they need key competencies. They need critical and creative thinking, collaboration, systems thinking. They need to know about media and technology. And what I really see through the EcoSchools program is that project-based learning and active learning is really key tools to enhance these skills. And we need resilient minds too. You mentioned it earlier that, eco-anxiety is unfortunately rising, but we need to have a change in our educational systems, in our cultural values in terms of allowing or even embracing our mistakes and our failures, to be able to learn from them and to be able to build this confidence and resilience that is needed. And this even applies to teachers. They don't need to know everything there is about adaptation, but they need to be able to facilitate the learning process and really also learn alongside their students. And okay, finally, my last point is in terms of, all what I've just said will be very hard to achieve if we don't include climate change education, and that includes both mitigation and adaptation concepts in national curricula. So in a recent UNESCO publication, it was stated that only half of national curricular frameworks of 100 countries include a mention of climate change. And even in the cases where they do, it's still a concept that is not addressed in depth. So that really means that the majority of educators around the world, they are not allocated time to teach about climate change, mitigation, nor adaptation, and that I think really needs to change. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Christina, and it is what we need. Then this element needs to be included as part of the global goal on adaptation. Now, I have received a note that we are a bit short of time. For that, we will need that all the speakers will be brief as well, to give the possibility that members of the audience also can participate. Then I want to invite, we have now the Foundation of Environmental Education, but also associations of students play a crucial role. And we have here Maya Hischer from the International Association of Students in Agricultural and Related Studies. And it's a large organization with students in all over the world. Then Maya, what are the solutions that you are implementing?
Hello, thank you for letting me engage here with you all at the European Youth Adaptation Forum. As already mentioned, I am a member of IAAS, and that stands for the International Association for Students in Agriculture and Related Sciences, and we are currently the biggest student association in agriculture, counting over 10,000 members in more than 50 countries all over the world. And our aims as an association are to encourage the exchange of ideas and promote the understanding between students in agriculture and advocate for sustainable food systems to be able to adapt to climate change. And lastly, to empower young agronomists with, for example, capacity building workshops. What we learn as an international community, we take back to apply on a local or regional level. In my case, that is Bonn or Germany, because we follow the motto of think globally but act locally. And through this international dialogue, we are able to gain insight into various ways of transforming our current agricultural practices to be more resilient. And on this, I would like to take a concrete example. We organized the International Conference for Youth in Agriculture here in Bonn in March, with the objective to spread awareness and knowledge to the next generation of agronomists, our generation of agronomists, so that we can have a push for sustainability and adaptation from all sides. As we have a need for agronomists and for farmers who are also receptive to the implemented policies on adaptation. And so during our conference, we developed two concrete pillars. First of all, it was advocating for the adoption of policies in climate adaptation through workshops and an impactful call to action that we addressed to UN bodies and parties as well as consumers, and encouraging the implementation of youth-led innovative solutions, which we call the YCRA program, which is the Youth for Climate Resilient Agriculture, which was a competition in which we selected climate-resilient agronomist champions. And we as IAAS, we implemented this YCRA program with the FAO, and indeed the FAO is contributing to the youth empowerment through this youth capacity building initiative. And some examples of the programs that were submitted to the program are projects like educational farms with integrated systems that promote agroforestry and agroecology, projects that focus on organic waste management, how to produce fertilizer or biogas using compost, or how projects on water scarcity adaptation, how to build new irrigation systems using water resources more efficiently, for example, through the use of renewable solar energy. And throughout our conference and throughout these projects, we gained three key takeaway points. And first of all, that we as youth are behaving as leaders in this field of expertise, and that we have the ability to create projects that can help lead the way on climate adaptation. But that we need to be taken seriously by decision makers as we have these long-term visions and we are striving to implement these new promising solutions. However, lastly, the last key takeaway point is that we are still lacking the means to bring these projects to the next level. We need financial support because it is not as available as it should be. And we need to lift the barriers between youth and experienced professionals, and we also need to lift the barriers between youth and institutions so that we can all strive for better adaptation. Thank you.
Adaptation is solution-oriented, and youth have also the knowledge to lead the implementation of these solutions at all levels. Then also taking into account that we are running out of time, I will request to the next panelists to be brief. And I want to invite the next speaker that also is working in adaptation solutions. And I would like that you tell us about the experience on climate. It's a youth organization, also mobilizing solutions. Then Inés Muner, please share with us your experience.
Thank you. Hello to all of you. So Climate is an association of young people motivated and committed to the fight against climate change, and in particular, we carry out awareness-raising actions on adaptation issues, and we propose simulation workshops for the young generation mostly. And during these workshops, the participants are invited to play the role of elected representatives or citizens of a city hit by a heat wave. And they must then together build an action plan in order to improve the resilience of the city to heat waves. And our goal is to give the skills and tools to the young people to let them become agents of change. And since this year, we've decided to increase the impact of our workshops by organizing meetings between the participants and the local elected representatives so they can discuss together about the proposal made by the participants during the workshops. At Climate, we are really convinced that everyone can be a force of proposal, and our workshops have shown us it. The participants, whether they are 10 years old or they are people not really aware of the subject, they all already have the keys to propose ideas to increase the resilience of the cities they know. And often they even propose more radical and efficient measures than those currently in place in France. So those workshops we've learned from those workshops that young people the best way to engage young people on the subject is to lead by example. So the participants are put themselves during this workshop in the shoes of actors and integrate the logic at stake. And we are also convinced that young people are the best capable of raising awareness among the young because they can identify to them. So young people are not only the ones who are empowered, but they are also the ones who can empower others. And for the solutions we implement to be more sustainable and scalable, we put a point of honor to that we really want that solidarity to be at the heart of the workshops so that the participants can think with others and for others to innovate a city which will be more just and respectful of others and of nature. This way the learning and the commitment of the participants is more sustainable. And we also, for the workshops, for our project to be more sustainable and for the workshops to evolve, we hope to count on the support of local elected representatives to give more visibility to these workshops and the proposal of the participants, which often are really great. And so that's it. Thank you for listening.
And before that we move to the next session, we have our last speaker is Stefan Rostog, also an old friend leading solutions not only here in Germany but also through partnership with other continents. And Stefan worked with GermanWatch, one also of the leading NGOs in Germany. Then Stefan, thank you for joining us. And from your perspective, working also on education for sustainable development, how we connect these two agendas and what is GermanWatch doing?
Yes, well, first I have to excuse Leonie. You see her on the map. She excuses herself and asked me to give the input on behalf of the youth at GermanWatch. I will start with a story. Roughly a year ago, we had a severe flooding not far from here. And a few days later, there was a news article in mainly all mainstream papers coming from Saleemul explaining from Bangladesh to Germany his experiences on adaptation. And this was marvelous, and it gives me the start of this global exchange on adaptation, where we really need to have a stronger, much stronger emphasis on southern experiences. Mentioned already a lot is finance, what we need to step up. Adriana said, there are a lot of processes where we can build on. We have these ACE experiences, but we also have the international process leading up to the UNESCO program ESD 2030. We can build on these experiences and bring those values and techniques into the youth global goal on adaptation and link it to the huge amount of experiences with ESD. I will bring now two examples of how we work where we gained experiences which can help us in the future to work on youth and adaptation. One project was Empowerment for Climate Leadership, where we had young people from India, Tanzania, and Germany working for half a year together and meeting several times, so they had online and offline meetings. But this helps really to understand the adaptation challenges in the different countries. And the second project is really easy to copy because it's an exchange program. In Germany, we call it Konkreter Friedensdienst Reverse, Concrete Peace Action Reverse. So there are young people from Asia, Africa coming for 3 months working in our NGO, bringing their experience to our work and vice versa. So we need more of those exchange forms. And when we have all those training sessions in mind, keep in your head that it's not only on adaptation, but it's also on employability of the young people in Africa and Asia. So help them to bring their experiences into their work life as well, and not only on this. Very often it's voluntary work, this climate work, but we need it in the mainstream work. Thanks.
Connecting the international agendas and I guess also all the other agendas. Then it's fantastic. We have concrete experiences and it's an invitation also to implement. Then I want to thank all the panelists. Please join me with a big applause. I will request you to stay here with us. We have the last part that is, now we have here about the global goal on adaptation. We have here concrete experiences, but now we are moving to the last session that is imagine how a climate resilient Europe, because it is the European Youth Adaptation Forum, will look like. Then I need that every one of you will help us. How do you imagine? And I want that you help us with short interventions. And what are these key actions? Let's think about key actions that can enable this transformation. Then it will be also helping you to imagine, okay, how I would like, what will be these elements? Very brief, and also what are these key actions? In the meantime that you are thinking, I want to very briefly, we have the members of the Youth Advisory Panel, then Irfan and Desmond. You can see both of them over there. Just introduce yourself and you will help us with the microphone. Please introduce yourself.
It's on now. Yes, my name is Desmond Alunwa. I am a member of the Youth Advisory Panel for the GCA, and I am from Ghana.
Irfan?
Hello everyone. My name is Irfanullah from Pakistan. I'm also a member of GCA Youth Advisory Panel. So looking forward to your nice insight. Thank you.
And here we are very lucky because it is the European Youth Forum, but the European Youth Forum has also visions from all over the world. And we have two leaders here. Then also two champions. One is Emmanuel Oven, Professor Emmanuel Oven. He had been one of the champions implementing education, training, and public awareness. They say we need national strategies that bring this topic at the national level. Ghana had been one of the key countries, the first countries in Africa that developed a national strategy. Then, Emmanuel, what do you think is needed? How do you think that this climate resilient development will be, and what do we need to implement that? And also, Ghana now has the presidency for the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and Emmanuel, Professor Emmanuel, that is also our old friend, he's leading this agenda. Then, Emmanuel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Adriana. As he has said, I'm the national focal point for the AIDS program in Ghana, and then also currently Ghana is hosting the Climate Vulnerable Forum, a forum for all the vulnerable countries across the globe, and Ghana is also the presidency. But I'm happy to meet all of you as youth like this. As I'm a national focal point for AIDS, I've been working with youth all over. But he mentioned a lot of things on developing strategy and then what can we make the resilience work. That is where I would like to actually go a bit on that. Ghana has been able to actually develop our learning strategy, not through anything, but through the efforts of the youth. The youth supported us to do that. And what they do is that they made themselves available. So as youth, make yourself available to understand the processes of the climate change. If you make yourself available, you understand the process of climate change, you empower yourself, and it is then that you'll be able to make part of the solution. And that is where the resilience comes in. So for the youth, this is what I have for you. When it comes to the climate change school program and other things, Madam Christine mentioned Ghana is, he even indicated that from UNESCO, most of the countries who have been able to do education and aspects are on the concept stage. And here I'm proving to you that Ghana has been able to develop the learning strategy, and we've been able to implement one of the actions of the learning strategy, which is integration of climate change into school curricula, which UNESCO also see it as at this concept level. Ghana has been able to implement it. Almost all the things that he was talking about, training of teachers, we've trained teachers across, because most of the teachers are not climate change inclined. We've trained teachers across the regions of the country so that they will understand the climate change and able to teach the indicators of the new syllabus. So we have climate change into our curricula. As he was indicating, yes, we have climate change in our curricula. We've trained teachers. We also have tools. He mentioned technology and others. Yes, we have teaching and learning materials from class 1. So class 1 people are being introduced to weather. Windy day, sunny day. You see, the class 1 people, right from class 1, they are learning the weather and climate change. So we've been able to do this. And I encourage all of you, countries and youth here, to really support your national constituencies, the government, to also implement this in your country. Because of this, if you look at the Glasgow work program, they've indicated that all countries to prepare national learning strategy, all countries to do what? To integrate climate change into school curricula. Ghana has made it first. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And then, in the last 10 minutes that we have, I want that you just already thought about how a climate resilient Europe will look like and what are these key actions. Then, who would like to start? And you can just raise your hand. And also, please, Maya, let's introduce. Here we have Desmond, one volunteer. Then, very brief. We need this exercise that will be very dynamic. How will it look like? And what do we need?
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Aya, I'm also from IAAS. I think the first step would be to stop youth washing. It's like greenwashing, but not just to give youth, not just to give youth a spot to speak, but to really implement what they have to say. And I think I will just nominate someone and we'll go to you.
Excellent.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sandra. I'm not youth, but I'm working with youth. And one of these places where I work with youth, it's we have something here in Germany which is called the Roundtable for Renewable Energy. And Stefan already mentioned the flood catastrophe here happening nearby, but it was actually a European flood. It was Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, Netherlands, and I think that really showed us that climate change and the effects are here. And I think what's very important is that we rebuild better, that and also with 100% renewable energies, but also in a sustainable way, and that this will lead actually to these regions. I mean, we at least here in Europe, we have funding, federal funding, to rebuild better, but that cannot be with gas, fossil fuels, and there has to be a building in a sustainable way. And I think that that should be something that we should do anywhere. You know, start locally, get involved, and also get youth on the table. At the environmental table, there's also Fridays for Future representatives and people also affected from this region. They have really great ideas, and they must be brought to the table.
Excellent. Then climate resilient infrastructure. Then we need to be very fast because we don't have so many minutes. Then let's don't miss this opportunity to contribute. Dominique. And then you can just say your name, your country.
I'm Domenico Vito from Italy. And I think that for a better and climate resilient Europe, we have to foster also community resilience. Okay. I was saying that to foster climate resilient Europe, we have also to foster community resilience. That means also activate the communities in responding to climate change.
I very appreciate when was mentioning that youth can be local enabler of resilience and adaptation, and that's very true. But for doing this, we also need spaces of participation and discussion. And also we need to share information. Open data and open knowledge could be like the base, and these two, like open the spaces of discussion and also open data can be key action to foster a climate resilient Europe. Thank you.
Fantastic. Who more? Please. Yes, let's take the time because it's our time.
Very quickly, Michal Nikvasil, now the Czech presidency of the EU and otherwise European Commission, DG Klima. I feel we need designing resilient landscapes. To do it, we need water retention on the whole surface of the landscapes. I believe we need also forest resilience, and we need to regenerate our soils. And on top of that, recover all the ecosystem services.
In the back, please.
Hi everyone. My name. Oh, you go. You okay? No, okay. My name is Haley Campbell. I am from the U.S. here with Care About Climate and Youngo. You might have seen me floating around in the ACE spaces. That is most of the work I do. But something I think is really important is meeting community members where they're at. And when you ask them to give you feedback, you also offer something them back in return. For example, I partner with my local government office in Hawaii on climate adaptation to do a community engagement event where we went to the community and had interns bring a family member for intergenerational dialogue, which was also very key. And in exchange for them giving us their perspective and time, we gave back to them by working in their farm or on building their fish pond and learning more about indigenous and native Hawaiian practices. So I think it's a give and a take, and that's something that we should all be thinking about as how we can work together and collaborate on these actions.
Who is next? We have the last 10 minutes, then we are running out of time. Please.
I will be very fast. My name is Emilie. I'm from a French youth association. I had different points, but the main ones are, I think that for me, one of the main things is that we need to change the way we subvention the agriculture in Europe to clearly give the means for the agriculture to change transformatively the way they can practice their job. And the second thing would be to finance the common public transportations and stop financing individual transportation.
Here we have two more.
Hi. My name is Henry McGee. I'm a museum consultant. We talk about education and participation and information, but we need to identify, well, what kind of institutions do we really mean? So if there are probably about 500,000 libraries in the world, 100,000 museums, they could be an existing network where these things can really happen.
Hi, I'm Christophe from south of France, in Nice. I would like to thank you, Adriana, and to congratulate all of you, because there is a lot of positivity here, a lot of energy. And I think I'm really, really reassured, because I'm a professor in a university, and I see a lot of students with a lot of sometimes negativity or pessimism. And it's really important that, guys, you keep positivity, that there are still ways out of this problem and solutions. So please bring solutions and try to turn pessimism into positivity.
Here we have two more.
Yeah, they have been raising their hands for a long time.
Hi, I'm Marie-Agnes. I'm from France. I'm also volunteering in EAS, like Maya and Aya before. And as we are in Europe, I would like to emphasize that we have something wonderful here, the European Union. And I think it's a great way to move forward. And we have the Green Deal, which is going in the right direction, needs to go further, obviously. And it would be nice that there is an enhanced cooperation of all the countries to move forward. I think this would help a lot to move the agenda.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy from GCA, a member of the Youth Advisory Panel. Also interestingly, climate's liaison to UNFCCC constituencies, and just very boring policy stuff that on GGA I think it's definitely critical to have a sub-goal focusing on youth, and also to ensure that youth is involved in UNFCCC processes, and also of course all the way down to local level implementation. Thanks.
Excellent. Okay, we have the final part there.
Oh, thank you. I'm Anna from Germany, and I want to point out that it's important that we make the dialogue on adaptation accessible for everyone. Like we talked about inclusion, we talked about gender, but there are more points, like what about young people from low-income families, what about disabled people? So let's think about that and try to include them.
Then thank you very much. Before that we close, you know that COP27 will take place in Egypt, and the results of all these consultations will be presented there. But also there will be a pre-COP that this year will be hosted by the Democratic Republic of Congo. Then maybe I want to invite very briefly the head of the delegation to give some words, because we will be hosted by them.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for the floor. The first, I want to thank you for this opportunity you are giving to me. I would like also to congratulate this best team, this strong team, and this youth team with energy, with all capacity to build something concerning adaptation to the climate change. I can just say, yes, you're able to do something. Then what I can say about the pre-COP in the Democratic Republic of Congo is just we will do that with Egypt. The first week of September, it will take place in Kinshasa. And before this, we will organize also another meeting concerning the scientific team just in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This will take place on I think the first week of October. No, the first week of September, it will be the meeting of the scientific. And the first week of October, it will be the meeting of minister and all other meeting. And with this occasion, I want to invite also your team. I think we'll have a best forum in Kinshasa, and we'll also try to speak about the GCA and the adaptation to the climate change. And now I can just invite everybody, and I want to tell you, welcome in Kinshasa, welcome in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And very briefly from the Youth Advisory Panel, because there will be a Youth Adaptation Summit, then very brief, Irfan, Desmond, Kathy, and Emily, what is that? What is happening next?
Thank you very much, Adriana. So we having in September, the first week also, like the pre-COP, we having Youth Adaptation Summit in Rotterdam, and the focus of this is that over the past number of months since the beginning of the year, we've organized various regional youth adaptation panel summits, and the focus was identifying the gaps, identifying the innovations on the ground, and how do we synchronize this. So in Rotterdam, you're going to be looking at how do we mainstream gender, how do we mainstream youth innovations from the grassroots, and how do we mainstream the dialogue between intergenerations. So we welcome everyone, and it will also be online as well, hopefully. So look out for that.
Fantastic. We have also here the COP26 presidency. Please give us, please, with the microphone. Yes, we are closing this event with the remarks of the COP26 presidency, who have been also promoting youth participation in the climate change agenda.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Lydia Betwell-Susoya.
I am part of the COP26 presidency team. I'd like to start by saying thank you for inviting me here today. It's been great to hear all the thoughts from the various panels and from the audience members, really insightful, and it's filled me with a lot of optimism. And now I'm looking at my notes and thinking, whoosh, that's a bit pessimistic. But I will start by saying the sort of reality that we're in. We know that ecosystems are being destroyed. We know that water insecurity is increasing, and we know that people are being forced from their homes. So it's not just important that we urgently cut our emissions, it's just as important that we do adapt. COP26 and the Glasgow Climate Pact, it underlined the importance of adaptation, and in addition to that, I think Dennis mentioned the strengthened language on youth inclusion. It urges countries and parties to scale up climate finance and specifically to double finance for adaptation by 2025. And as mentioned earlier, parties also agreed on the Glasgow Sharm el-Sheikh work programme on the global goal of adaptation. We need to make headway on the GGA by COP27 as it remains one of the key successes of COP26. But we do need young people's voices front and centre within those conversations. It's vitally important to the sort of successful implementation of the Glasgow Climate Pact. And today, if I can read my scribbles, we've learned a lot. We've learned about the importance between sort of bridging the gap between generations and also in international context of farmers and agroecologists. We've learned about the importance of training educators. We've learned about how anything is possible, but you are your only limit. I could go on, but I won't. I will just finish on a sort of note of optimism. Global appetite for climate action has never been bigger, and young people play a vital role in harnessing this appetite to drive forward real climate action. They are agents of change, and their knowledge and leadership is necessary to deliver effective solutions on adaptation. So I'll finish by thanking everyone here today, again, for your sort of very reflective and very dynamic conversations and discussions and reflections. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you. And just to say that when you are preparing an event, and many of you know, you spend many days, months coordinating, sending emails, and I want to thank all my team. Thanks a lot to IFE, to the Global Center on Adaptation, to the Youth Advisory Panel, to the partner organizations, to the COP26 and COP27 Presidency, and especially to all of you, friends and partners, because we are moving together this agenda forward. Thank you very much. And now the key point is how are we going to make the recommendations here possible, and that the global goal on adaptation will include some of the youth recommendations. Thank you very much. And now let's make this possible.
Finish the
Let's take a photo together. Yes, of course. Let's take a photo together.
Question for you.
Can you take a photo?
Yes.
Or let's take a photo of the panelists. Go.